A struggling little girl, wearing worn-out clothes, slips a folded note under a sleek black luxury car. The car belongs to a powerful, cold millionaire who never shows emotion in public. When he reads the note, his confident facade shatters, and tears stream down his face. The note contains a message that connects directly to a deep, painful chapter of his past, something he thought no one knew. Before starting the story, make sure to subscribe the channel so that you don't miss any update in future. The rain had stopped just minutes ago, leaving the streets of the city shimmering under the pale glow of the streetlights. People hurried past, heads down, clutching umbrellas. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom sat parked by the curb, its mirror-like paint reflecting the passing lights. It looked untouchable, like it belonged in another world, far from the cracked sidewalks and damp smell of the alley nearby. From the shadows, a small figure emerged. Her coat was too thin for the cold, sleeves frayed at the edges. Her shoes, scuffed and a size too big, splashed through shallow puddles as she stepped closer. In her hand, she clutched a folded piece of paper, edges damp from her grip. She glanced around, no one seemed to notice her. She hesitated at the gleaming car, her reflection distorted in the polished metal. With trembling fingers, she slid the paper under the wiper blade, pausing for a moment to press it down so it wouldn't blow away. For a second, her eyes lingered on the car's interior through the tinted glass, as if she could almost see the man inside, the man she had been searching for. Then, as quickly as she came, she turned and disappeared back into the crowd. Minutes later, a tall man in a tailored charcoal suit stepped out of the cafe across the street. His presence was magnetic, the kind that made people glance twice. Sharp jawline, silver at his temples, eyes like polished steel. This was Alexander Crane, the kind of man who had empires under his name and headlines at his fingertips. The public saw him as untouchable, brilliant in business, ruthless in negotiations, and utterly devoid of sentiment. He opened the car door, but something caught his eye. The folded note. He pulled it from under the wiper, ready to dismiss it as some flyer, or perhaps a complaint from a stranger. But the handwriting stopped him, small, uneven letters, pressed hard into the paper as though written with desperation. He opened it slowly. His breath caught. The words blurred for a second before coming into focus. "You don't know me, but you once knew my mother. She said you saved her life. I think you might be the only one who can save mine." Alexander froze, his heart pounding so hard it drowned out the sound of the rain dripping from the rooftops. He read it again, and again. No one had spoken to him like this in years, not since her, not since the night that changed everything. He climbed into the back seat of the car, but didn't tell the driver to move. Instead, he stared at the note in his hand, his mind spiraling back through the years. A face, a voice, a moment he had locked away, convinced it would never return. The driver glanced back in the mirror. "Sir? Are you all right?" Alexander didn't answer. His throat felt tight. Through the blurred glass, he caught sight of a small figure in the distance, the girl. She was half running, half shuffling toward a side street. Without thinking, he opened the door. "Wait." His voice carried across the wet pavement, deep and commanding. She froze. Slowly she turned. Her eyes were large, almost too big for her thin face. There was a wariness in them, but also something else, something that made Alexander's chest ache. He walked toward her, the note still in his hand. "You wrote this." She nodded once, then looked at the ground. "I didn't know if you'd read it, or if you'd care." The words hit him like a blow. "Why would you think I wouldn't care?" Her gaze flickered up to his, just for a second. "Because people like you don't care about people like me." He didn't know what to say. The truth was, once, she would have been right. "What's your name?" he asked finally. "Lila," she said softly. "How do you know who I am?" She hesitated, fingers gripping the straps of her worn backpack. "My mom told me, before she got sick. She said a man named Alexander Crane once saved her when she was alone. She told me if I was ever in trouble, I should find you." Alexander felt the world tilt slightly, the sounds of the city fading into the background. He remembered her mother now, the night she had stumbled into the path of something terrible and he had pulled her out. It had been years ago, a moment he had written off as a footnote in his life. "What kind of trouble are you in?" His voice was softer now. She swallowed hard. "We don't have a home anymore. She's gone. I've been staying at the shelter, but they're closing it next week. And I don't have anywhere else to go." Alexander looked down at the note in his hand. The ink smudged where a drop of water, or maybe a tear, had fallen. He had read hundreds of contracts, business plans, and letters over the years, but none had hit him like this. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The streetlight above flickered, casting them in alternating shadow and light. "Come with me," he said at last. Her eyes widened. "Why?" "Because your mother was right," Alexander said quietly. "If you need saving, I'm not going to walk away." She studied him, as though trying to decide if he meant it. Finally, she nodded. As they walked back toward the Rolls-Royce, Alexander realized something strange. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about deals or numbers or the next big acquisition. He was thinking about the girl beside him, and the way her small hand clutched the strap of her bag like it was the only thing she owned. The driver opened the door, looking puzzled as Alexander guided her in first. The leather seats seemed to swallow her whole. Alexander slid in beside her, the note still in his hand. "Where to, sir?" the driver asked. Alexander didn't answer right away. He was still staring at the words on the paper, as though trying to see between the lines, to the part of the story Lila hadn't told him yet. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The car eased away from the curb, gliding through the rain-washed streets. Inside, the quiet hum of the engine wrapped around them, but neither spoke. Lila sat stiffly, her gaze fixed on the city lights streaking past. Her fingers traced the seam of the leather seat, almost as if she didn't believe she was allowed to be there. Alexander watched her from the corner of his eye. In the dim glow of the interior lights, she looked even younger. He wondered how long she'd been alone, how many nights she'd gone to sleep not knowing if she'd wake up somewhere safe. The thought unsettled him in a way he couldn't quite explain. Finally, he broke the silence. "How old are you?" 15, she said softly. "But I'll be 16 soon." There was something in her voice, not pride, but a kind of weary defiance, as if age had stopped being something to look forward to. He leaned back. "Do you have any family? Anyone who might?" "No," she cut him off, her voice firm now. "It's just me." The certainty in her tone told him this wasn't a temporary arrangement. She wasn't waiting for someone to come back for her. No one was coming. They drove on in silence until the car pulled up to a sleek glass tower in the heart of the city. The doorman stepped forward, umbrella in hand, ready to greet Alexander. But his eyes flickered with surprise when he saw Lila. Alexander didn't offer an explanation. He simply said, "Come on," and led her inside. The lobby was a world away from the streets outside, warm light spilling over polished marble, the faint scent of cedar in the air. Lila hesitated, her reflection captured in the gold-framed mirrors, her worn clothes looking painfully out of place against the elegance around her. In the elevator, she stayed close to the corner, her backpack pressed to her chest. Alexander pressed the top floor. When the doors opened, they stepped into a private penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the entire city spread out beneath them. Lila froze at the sight, her eyes wide. "Is this where you live?" she asked, almost in disbelief. "Yes," he said simply, loosening his tie. She walked slowly to the glass, pressing her fingers against it. From here, the city didn't seem as threatening. It was just lights and movement, like another world entirely. Alexander poured a glass of water and handed it to her. She accepted it with both hands, murmuring a quiet "thank you." For a moment, he considered asking her to tell him everything, every detail of how she'd ended up here, every scar the streets had left on her. But something in her posture told him she wasn't ready. So he waited. She broke the silence first. "My mom said you helped her once, that you saved her life. What did you do?" Alexander took a slow breath. "It was years ago. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I just made sure she got out safely. That's all. Lila turned toward him, her expression unreadable. She made it sound like more. He met her gaze. Sometimes just making sure someone gets out safely is everything. Her lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. But then her expression shifted, the light dimming from her eyes. I'm not sure anyone can get me out now. Something in his chest tightened. Why do you say that? She looked away, out at the city. Because the people I'm running from, they don't stop. Ever. The words lingered in the air like a shadow. Alexander didn't press her for details.
Not yet.
But his mind was already working, the way it always did when there was a threat to neutralize. He poured himself a drink, the clink of ice the only sound between them for a moment. You're safe here, he said finally. Lila gave a small, almost imperceptible nod, but she didn't look convinced. Later that night, as the city slept beneath a blanket of fog, Alexander stood by the window, phone in hand. He had made 3 calls already, quiet, precise instructions to people he trusted with more than just his business affairs. People who understood the meaning of discretion. Behind him, Lila had fallen asleep on the sofa, curled under a cashmere throw. In sleep, the hardness in her face had softened, revealing just how young she truly was. He watched her for a moment longer, then turned back to the city. He didn't know yet who was after her or why. But he knew one thing: he was going to find out. And when he did, there would be consequences. Morning came with the pale light of dawn streaming through the glass. Lila woke slowly, blinking against the brightness. For a moment, she looked disoriented. Then her eyes settled on the sprawling skyline, and she remembered where she was. Alexander was already dressed, his suit immaculate, a quiet authority in every movement. There's breakfast in the kitchen, he said, his tone casual. She followed the smell of fresh coffee and warm bread. On the table, there were pastries, fruit, and scrambled eggs, more food than she'd seen in one place in weeks. She hesitated, then sat down. Alexander watched her eat in silence, noting the way she took small, cautious bites at first, as if rationing it in case it was taken away. Halfway through the meal, she spoke. You're going to ask me, aren't you? Ask you what? What I'm running from. He set down his coffee cup. I figured you'd tell me when you were ready. She studied him for a long moment, then said quietly, It's not just people. It's what they know.
About me.
About my mom. Alexander's eyes narrowed slightly. What do they know? She hesitated, fingers tightening around her fork. That I'm not supposed to exist. The words hung between them, heavy and cold. And for the first time since he'd met her, Alexander felt the faint stirrings of fear, not for himself, but for the girl sitting across from him. Because whatever she meant by that, it wasn't going to be simple. Alexander didn't answer right away. He just watched her, the set of her jaw, the flicker of something unspoken in her eyes. The city outside was waking up, its usual noise creeping in through the glass, but inside the penthouse, there was a strange stillness, like the moment before a storm breaks. What do you mean, not supposed to exist? His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it now, the kind of tone that demanded truth. Lila's hands were trembling. She set the fork down carefully, as if afraid it might betray her nerves. My mom, she used to work for people. Dangerous people. She was young, broke, and thought she didn't have a choice. She said she did one job, just one, and promised herself she'd get out. Alexander leaned back in his chair, silent, letting her speak. She got pregnant with me right after. And when they found out, they told her it was a problem. That I was a problem. Her voice cracked on the last word, but she pushed through. They wanted to make sure I never happened. For a moment, Alexander felt the muscles in his jaw tighten. The kind of men who would see a child as a mistake to erase. He'd dealt with them before. And he knew exactly how ruthless they could be. Lila looked up at him.
She ran.
Changed her name, moved from place to place. But she could never stay anywhere too long. And she told me if anything ever happened to her, I should find you. The weight of those words settled on him, like iron. He hadn't seen her mother in years. Hadn't known she had a daughter. But the memory of that night long ago, the chaos, the screaming, the moment he'd pulled her mother out of the darkness, came flooding back. "Where is she now?" he asked, though a part of him already feared the answer. Lila's eyes dropped to her lap. "She's gone." Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Alexander rose from the table, walking to the window. He needed a moment to think, but every instinct in him was already screaming that this was bigger than he'd imagined. If they knew Lila was alive, they'd come. And they wouldn't stop until they found her. "Who knows you're here?" he asked without turning.
No one.
"I've been careful." "Careful," he repeated, as if tasting the word. "You've been living on the streets. That's not careful. That's visible. Anyone looking hard enough could have found you." Her face flushed with anger. "I didn't have a choice." He turned, meeting her eyes. "You have one now." She held his gaze for a long moment before looking away, her voice softening. "So, what happens now?" Alexander's phone buzzed on the counter. He glanced at the screen, an encrypted message from one of his contacts. 3 words. "They know everything." His chest tightened. Without a word, he moved to the kitchen island, typed a quick reply, and locked the phone again. "You're staying here," he said firmly. "No arguments. I'll handle the rest." Lila frowned. "Handle what?" He didn't answer. That afternoon, Alexander's world shifted into the mode only a few had ever seen. Precise, calculated, lethal. He made calls to old allies, arranged quiet meetings, and set security measures into motion. He moved through it all with the calm of someone who had danced on the edge of danger too many times to count. Lila watched from the sofa, pulling the blanket tighter around her. Part of her wanted to ask what he was doing, but another part, the part that had survived this long, told her it was better not to know. As evening fell, Alexander came back into the room. "We're leaving," he said. Her eyes widened. "Leaving? Where?" "Somewhere they won't expect. And somewhere you'll be harder to reach." She hesitated. "Is it safe?" "It's safer than here," he replied, already gathering a small bag. Within minutes, they were in the elevator, the hum of descent filling the silence between them. The doorman gave them a curious glance as Alexander led her through the lobby, but didn't speak. Outside, a sleek black car waited. As the city blurred past again, Lila found herself watching Alexander. The way he scanned every passing vehicle, the way his hand never strayed far from the inside of his jacket. Whoever these people were, he wasn't underestimating them. Half an hour later, they reached a gated estate on the outskirts of the city. The gates swung open without a sound, and the car rolled up a long, tree-lined drive to a secluded villa. Inside, the air smelled faintly of leather and cedar, just like his penthouse, but the atmosphere was different. Heavier somehow. "This place," Lila murmured, "it feels like no one's supposed to find it." "That's the idea," Alexander said, locking the door behind them. They settled in for the night, but Lila couldn't sleep. She paced the room, the echo of her mother's warnings still loud in her mind. At some point, she wandered toward the balcony, looking out over the moonlit grounds. That's when she saw it. Far beyond the gate, at the edge of the trees, a flicker of movement. A shadow that didn't belong. Her breath caught. She turned to call for Alexander, but before she could, the phone on the nightstand buzzed. She froze, staring at the screen. It wasn't her phone, it was his. And across the display were 2 words that made her blood run cold. Too late. How fate can tie people together in unexpected ways, and how sometimes the past you thought was buried will come back for you, whether you're ready or not. It also shows that protection isn't just about walls and gates. It's about trust, sacrifice, and the courage to face danger head-on for someone you barely know but somehow feel responsible for.